Hey guys, Remy here, your friendly Immortal 3 Sentinel main. Today we have a highly requested video. I'm going to be showing you my Cypher guide to the new map Abyss. Now, after taking the past week or so looking at the map, trying to figure out the best setup for Cypher, because I do believe Cypher is going to be the best Sentinel main on this map. And when you run Sentinel, I do have some Cypher setups that I think that everyone should at least take advice from. I'm not telling you to run it, but in my opinion, this is the setups that I'm going to be doing. So first things first, I want to just start by saying when you're defending on either site, so if you're on B site, trip mid like this, or if you're defending on A site, you want to trip mid like this, because there are so many different places to come as the enemy, and when they're attacking, you want to just go ahead and cut off this one choke point. Now, you know, you're going to say, well, they can go through our spawn. If they go through our spawn, through B to here, just to flank A, you got it, bro. You got it. That's all I'm going to say. I would say start it off by always tripping mid here. I'm not saying that you have to. I would suggest, you know, taking this into consideration and trying your best to go and trip one of these chokeholds for your flank, and then using your other trip and your camera for the site. First things first, A site. Now, I don't know why this is a very popular site for like teams to hit. Out of all the games I've played, and I've done 10-mans and stuff, this is a very popular site. There's only one chokehold that they can come out of. It's just kind of giving me like maybe split vibes. You can come through mid, but it's just really just one chokehold you can come out of. It's going to be really Cypher's fucking playground whenever you play this. So basically, I'll show you the first setup that I would do. This is the main cam you want to do. You want to jump off that ledge and throw it there. That gives you basically information on the whole site. Really strong camera. If they want to shoot it, they have to expose themselves to all of sight besides window to be able to shoot that. So that's a really good camera. And then if you hop down here, I would say basically my default trips would probably be right here on this edge whenever they roll out, or if they're right here. So you want to control some kind of area, right? Because when you're attacking on this site, you're going to want to roll out and try to get space as fast as you can. So you might want to avoid this. Then that's what this trip over here would be for. So you're not really going to be paying attention as you're rolling out here. So these are really very strong trips. Now, I would say if you play those two trips, this is probably the best spot to play in is this window as Cypher. Unless you want to play at backside, which you can use your cages and get out. So I wouldn't be against, you know, you playing backside. This site's a little more easier to play on site with your setup rather than B. So I would suggest probably putting a cage here, but sometimes you're going to be smoked off. But this is going to be basically like, this is going to be free. Anybody go there, anybody go there. Just imagine you got a smoke or even a cage. That's going to be free play. Literally all of this you can trip and literally control and shoot from the window. So I would say this window spot is going to be very strong as a Cypher main. Now, my next trip I'm going to give you guys, I didn't want to give the sauce, but you know I got to give the sauce to my supporters. This trip in a main that I'm going to do, I will say you can do it alone, but we have tested it out. You can hear it if you don't do it with any sound or anything. So what I would say to do is grab your teammate and tell them to sit here and make some noise by pre-firing. And while you do that, when the barriers drop, if you throw this chip right here, you got to think when they're rolling out, this chip is very strong. You can play, if this can be smoked off by your team, even if it's not smoked off by your team, you can hide over here and you can wall bang through that box. This chip, in my opinion, if you're getting it down with the right sound cues being played, this is very strong, especially when they're going fast. They're not going to be thinking of this. It kind of reminds me of like Lotus on C site with Mound. There's an early trip you can do whenever they push in. This is a very strong trip. Now, you can probably only get this done once, and then they're going to be expecting it. So just make sure whenever you do it, it's on a round that you really need. Some other trips that I would do on this site, for example, is a lot of teams might try to plant on bridge. So there's a trip you can do right here on bridge site. Yeah, you can avoid it, but the body collision is going to hit the trip and then it's going to go off, and you can simply be playing from just like that, and that's going to be free game. Or you can still be playing from window and see the trip from there and spray. So this is a very like strong trip. Another trip I would suggest when it comes to playing default, I feel like this might be also another default plant. If you want to just simply put it there, they're going to run into it to plant the bomb, and that's a free kill from heaven. One last suggestion that I would give as a Cypher main is one of the things you can do, let's say you're using both of your trips, is you can put two cages here, because this is going to be a lot of taking space on this site as a team that's attacking on this map, on A site. If you want to put two trips here and play your cam and play back site, pop cages when they push you, and that can It's free game. It's free game. So just real quickly, I'll show all the chips that I would use on this site, and then we'll go on to B site. Also, a basic reminder, whenever you're tripping, I know a lot of people already know this, but I want to say this to the people that do not play Cypher as often. This is how you can make sure that your trips are not jumpable or no one can go underneath them. So if you just hit the crouch button and you just make sure that your trip line is going through your face in the middle of your camera here, you cannot jump over it, you cannot go under it. Alright, on B side of Abyss, this is going to be probably the site that you play on the most as Cypher. Just because there's so many, there's different chokes that you can come through as an attacker, and it's just more easy for you to hold, have one person hold because you have 2 trips, all the utility you have. So we're gonna go over B. So the first trip that I'm gonna show you on B site, which I'm sure you've seen memes of, is this trip right over here on the side. So if you just put it right here, and someone jumps through this trip, it will launch them down. They'll get stuck, they'll rubber band and fall down. The next trip I want to show you is just this simple foot one right here. Just a simple one that somebody might not expect. I feel like Neon might be played on a lot of, on this map. So Neon might run into that. That's not a bad trip to play. So we'll go through what I would set up on this site as my default. The first cam spot that I'll show you is if you go ahead and stand on this edge and throw it over there, this camera sees about everything. So these are common angles that people are going to be holding. So that's going to be a really good retake cam as well. Obviously you can't see behind it, but this gives you almost all the information that you can get. The only other cam that I would suggest on this is when the barriers go down, just plop one right here on this pillar. And this is a really good retake cam, or just a cam in general to just sit on, because in order for them to see it on their map or something, they have to turn around or it's going to make that noise. So that's a good cam as well. So for my default, I would basically put my cam here on this pillar. I would put a trip right here on default plant spot, because this is more than likely going to be where they default plant, because it's going to be a very spam heavy site because you can spam from window. So I would put a trip there. And then also personally, I would either put one over here on the side that we showed earlier, or I will put one here. I would put a cage, or if you want to save one of those cages and put the cage right here. Basically, when they plant, pop the cage. This is all wall bangable. So this literally gives you so much free game to do anything. So you could just, whenever they plant, or if you want to switch it up, you can put the trip this way. So in case the attackers come through and they funnel over to that side as well, and it also still gets default, you can spray from there as well. Now, the reason why I say to put a trip here as a default is you can also obviously wall bang from here. But if you play from back here on site, as soon as one hits, you can pop your cage. You can spam all of that, and you still have all of this to really protect you. And you should be able to get that kill for free without any punishment. I would say as a Cypher, this area that you're looking at right now is going to be where you're mainly going to be staying at. Now, if you insist on playing on actual site, on back site, I would suggest putting this cage right here, and then also obviously have this cage here, or have another cage just in case you need it for later. And I would say just put that just so you can get out, because for the most part, they might be able to see you right here, but by the time you cross that, you should be fine. So you want to have a cage right there so you can, be able to get out, because if you get stuck back site here, you're opening yourself up to so many possibilities of being pinched from both sides, and they can go on top and shoot you down from above. But mainly my suggestion would be is just play here, put all your chips for all your wall bangs. It's gonna be a very fucking wall bangable site. Reminds me of Ascent. I hate that map. Reminds me of Ascent. Just switch it up sometimes. Throw some here, throw some, who knows, throw some here as well. Like you can get creative. You can play that wall bang really well, and also you can play from heaven from a lot of these trips. I would suggest if you want to do this, if you want to do a default trip, I would say do this one that goes across, that you can shoot from heaven, because if they go there, that should be easy kills as well. I'm going to show you all of the trips that I would use at any point of my setup on B site, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right, just real quick, moving on to attack as Cypher. Now, there's not much of a guide I can do for you because every game is different. You know, when it comes to attack with Cypher, you know, a lot of people like to lurk, a lot of people like to go with teams, a lot of people like to use trips post-plant or just to help them out. Me personally, if you have watched any of my streams, I like to, you know, lurk half the time, but also I would like to, you know, go with the team, use my cam for post-plant, and just, you know, I like to mix it up. So when we talk about flank trips as a Cypher on the site, there's only a couple that you would want to use. So for example, if you're attacking on A site here, the only thing you want to trip is this right here. That way, that's the only place that they can come from flank. Everything else has to come from their spawn. Now, when it comes to B site is a little tricky because you have mid bend to worry about somebody flanking. Now, I've came to the conclusion that I personally like to trip both like sites, like site flanks. That way you have a lot of information. But honestly, if you don't want to play like I do, I would suggest tripping this here, and then you go up here to mid bin and you trip this here. That right there will be able to hold both of your flanks. All right, some of you might have been waiting for this, but mid. Now, mid is something else, okay? I've came to learn that I feel like mid, you want to just treat it like breeze, right? If you don't want to use your camera for post plant as a Cypher, that is completely fine. What I have learned that you can do, as soon as these barriers go down, you're going to be about right here. You want to bring your cam to this spot right here as soon as the barriers drop. You want to jump and literally just have your cam here for info. This gives you all the info on the rotates, who rotates, if anyone's mid, who's mid, or anything like that. So if you don't default, you know, keep your cam for whenever you plant, so you know if they're on it or not. If you want to default your cam mid, this would not be bad at all because this gives you all the information that you need. If you need to check our spawn, you can do that as well. I think this is a pretty strong cam when it comes to finding out rotates. Now, I know a lot of you might want some cam spots whenever you're attacking as Cypher to clear some angles or anything like that. So one that I saw in a few videos is this one right here that you can just barely, you don't have to expose yourself at all. You can just jiggle and you're checking all of these angles that are really ratty, okay? Some of the angles that, you know, your initiator might miss if you don't have an info initiator. This clears all of that. And it can also see up there if that is not smoked as well. I would suggest that's probably the only cam you should really worry about when you're attacking A site. Now, when it comes to B site, there's not many cams that you can do without really exposing yourself to all of the sites. So really, it's just as you go. As a Cypher, just decide, hey, where do I want to throw my cam? If it, you know, if no one's holding you, oh, you could throw your cam here. You can check behind the box. Or if, you know, if someone's holding you, maybe you can, you know, slide your cam here and you can check the side of that. But when it comes to B site, you know, play as you wish. Just improvise and see what you can do. For the last thing is how to lurk. A lot of people that watch my stream and stuff, they really like how I'm able to break down the lurk, get all the information that's needed, and, you know, be able to get some kills in the process and be able to set my team up for success for, you know, post plant or even to just win the round. So me normally as a Sentinel main, when it comes to lurking, my main thing is stay alive, but also you can take calculated risk. You want to get as much information for your team as you can. And then I would say that's when you want to be able to get some kills if you're able to, or be the last line, you know, last line of defense. So when it comes to lurking on this map, one of my favorite things is mid. Believe it or not. So what I would probably do is I would just, like I said earlier, I would just cam this mid. I would hold that. If this camera goes untouched, I'm going to just make my way through here, constantly checking that camera. You know, for the most part, it sees everything you need to. Obviously, it doesn't see like this pillar, so you need to jiggle that and jiggle that probably as well, that corner. But for the most part, that camera is very strong at clearing mid for you. And this can help you, you know, get up into this space and get behind the enemies. Now, like I said earlier, if we rewind to what I said, trip one of these sides, and if they want to go through our spawn and flank us that way, then so be it. And guess what? We want to be one of those people. So what I would suggest is if they're like tripping this, literally just run all the way through the spawn, depending on how much time you have. That can be really big. I wouldn't suggest it much because it does take a lot of time to doing that, and you got to realize that you are shift walking, and you can also come across way more people. You want to just be smart when you lurk, be proactive, right? Play your life at the end of the day, get your team information, kills are last. With that being said, this is my Cypher guide to Abyss. Not everyone that's going to watch it is going to agree. and that's completely fine. If you guys have any suggestions on trips, setups, anything of that sort that you would like me to show in the future videos or even in my streams to my viewers, just leave a like and comment down below. With that being said, this is it. I hope you guys have a great day and stay tuned for some more videos like this. Peace.